So it's day 24, but back in day 8, we looked at the messaging app. And you know that communication is so important when it comes to making business connections with your clients and customers. So we're going to particularly look now in this 30-day series on day 24 of how messaging apps can be used to communicate, but also some other ways in which you can use your website to communicate, or you can use other forms of communication with your customers. But ultimately, rather than you decide what to use, we're going to get your customer to decide what to use. And I'm also going to show you why it's so important that you communicate the way that your customers want you to communicate for your business. Now, hopefully so far you're enjoying this 30-day challenge. So in the comments below, just let me know how it's going. Are you beginning to see some changes in your traffic? Have you looked at your insights recently to see how your business is doing? Is it progressing? Are the things you're doing with these video series making a difference? And if you're new to this particular series, then you may want to go back to day 1 because they're all recorded, and just follow each day. Just do what it says to do and see how that impacts your Google My Business listing. But today we're looking at all the different ways in which you communicate your brand with your customers. And we're going to see why that's important. Let's just consider for a moment what Google says about it. See, Google recognizes that people want to contact the businesses that they're dealing with. 89% of users want to connect with businesses via messaging, which they already know and prefer. 67% of people would rather message a business than speak with a person. And 53% of customers are more likely to shop with businesses that they can message. So can you see why we're spending one day just talking about communication and messaging in particular with your Google My Business listing? So if Google is saying those things, then obviously they're going to support it. And that's where we come in today in our lesson. So again, I'd like you to comment down below if you do use an app. So do you use Google My Business app? Do you communicate? Have you been chatting with people? Have you been texting? Do you use SMS? Do you use your WhatsApp? All those are areas which Google My Business is fully supporting. So let me know down below what you prefer to use when you communicate with your customers. How does Google My Business messaging actually work? Well, once you've downloaded the app, you'll notice that on your Google My Business listing or your knowledge panel, you'll see things like chat, where they can instant message you if you've enabled it. Or it could be that you've asked it to accept quotes and you provide a response to a request to quote. But ultimately, there'll be 2 or 3 ways in which Google My Business can communicate with you. As we can see here on businessmessages.google, they want you to reach customers, and there's a chat facility there that you can use. You notice it basically is like a WhatsApp type of chat in the business world. And as we go through here, you'll see that Google is wanting you to communicate with customers in the way that they prefer. And so there's lots of success stories as to how that can happen. But another way in which you know that you can see Google really want you to use this is the fact that they have this request to quote button, which you can click, and that will again go straight through to you. And also if you go into your back end, you'll see there that on your website, if you go into edit under website, and you'll see where the primary button is, that not only is it just a case of contacting you with a number or call now or get directions, but you also have things like SMS, WhatsApp, make an appointment. And again, all these will work with your setup. They'll help you to be contacted immediately through your Google My Business Messenger or app that's available if you've downloaded it. And so if you then go to the website itself, this is the free website that Google give you, you'll see here I've got a get quote. If I click it, I can fill out the details. Then when I submit it, it will go straight through to the Google My Business Messenger or the app. With those figures in mind, then we know that Google really wants to sell messaging, instant messaging. They also recognize that people are changing. They don't want to pick up the phone. They just want to message and find out information immediately. So thinking about your business, does your business enable that? Does your business actually thrive on that? Is that where your competitors are really gaining traction above you because you haven't adapted yet? Well, that's something to consider. Obviously, it doesn't work in every single niche of businesses, but it may work in your niche. So there's some questions there then to ask yourself. Questions to be honest with, we call this part of the video. So how fast do you reply? Particularly with SMS, do you reply straight away? You might think, well, why would I need to do that? But as soon as Google knows a message is being sent and delivered, Google's now ticking a clock. And if you can respond within about 24 hours, it tends to be a positive signal back to Google that you are there, you're authentic, you're trustworthy, you're an expert, all those things EAT. And what that does, it just lets Google know that you are running the business, that you are there, you are responding. So a quick response time is actually taken note of by Google. What works for your business? So have you asked your customers? Reach out to your customers and ask them. And have you seen live chats on websites? Now, live chats on websites work in a slightly different way because they're not focused through Google My Business. But when you go to someone's website and they've got a live chat that asks you a question or just says, if you've got anything, then answer it here, that can be really helpful too. And in fact, they're increasing rapidly because people are recognizing it's a great way to capture someone's email and it's a great way to communicate with your potential customers. So just imagine you've got a customer who's half thinking of purchasing with you, but they've got one doubt. But the live chat comes up on the website and they ask you that question. You give them an immediate reply and you give them a link to perhaps the answer to their problem. They're more likely then to actually make a purchase. In fact, it's been proven that that really helps the process of selling. So having a live chat on your website can be done, and it can be done for free. In fact, I use one on my website and I wanted to share that as the free tool for today. So I'll put a link down below, but you'll see here, it works really well. It communicates, you can set it up. If people then want to ask questions, you can respond immediately on your phone as well. So this is giving a really good reaction, a communication between you and your customers. Of course, communication is essential. As George Bernard Shaw said, he said the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it's just taken place. What a great quote. So often we think we've communicated. Communication is about understanding and making sure that the thoughts you think the person's got has actually got. So it's kind of really, we can think we've communicated, but often we're misrepresenting ourselves. And of course, another way in which Google is now encouraging communication is through video as well, video conferencing. You may have noticed another update on Google My Business for certain types of businesses, where you can add Zoom, you can add Skype, you can have Google. So video conferencing is certainly going to move forward as well, which is another form of communication. So the days of email, the days of picking up the phone, a landline, a mobile, those things have been around for a long time. They haven't totally disappeared, but certainly that immediate live chat, that discussion via an app, that immediate response due to texting, SMS, WhatsApp, Google is really highlighting that that's the way your customers in general now are wanting to respond. So we're looking now then at what you can do for your business today based on what we've looked at in this video. Well, the first thing is to ask your customers how they like to communicate. So it will be different depending on what type of business you are. So whether you're a bakery, whether you're a takeaway, whether you're a web designer, whether you're an estate agent, there's all different ways in which people will communicate and they won't be the same. So you need to know what your customers are wanting. The second thing is to look at that link down below called Gist and add it to your website. If you haven't got live chat, this is a perfect way to do it for free. And finally, try video conferencing. If you haven't done it and you think it might work for your customers, then try adding a link, setting up Zoom, setting up Skype, and seeing whether that is something that brings in more confidence for your customers. And when you put all that together, you're going to find your customers are going to feel much more likely to do business with you because you're talking their language and you're communicating with their heart and with their mind as well. But we all make mistakes, and it's easy to make mistakes when it comes to setting up our Google My Business. Maybe right at the beginning when we set up the business, there were things we didn't do right. And now as we've gone through these 30 days together, or we're not quite there yet, we've learned so many things. There are things we need to change, mistakes we need to put right. Well, tomorrow, I'm going to show you the top 5 mistakes that happen and how you can put them right. So I'll see you in tomorrow's video.